What do you get when you cross a wagon, add permanent four-wheel drive, also add some black cladding and raise its ride height? You get this, the 2018 Subaru Outback.
The Subaru Outback always seemed to serve in a niche market, appealing to customers who wanted the freedom to be able to venture off-road without needing to resort to a boxy 4x4. Its fourth generation managed to sell decently well, but it wasn't helped with its frumpy styling. So for 2015, along with a new generation, the marketing team at Subaru hit a goldmine.
They decided to stop calling this a wagon and start calling it an SUV. And that, in conjunction with its far more attractive and mature design, sent sales soaring.
Powering the Outback is a 2.5-litre four-cylinder boxer engine developing 129 kilowatts of power and 235 Nm of torque. So let's start our tour. The first thing you notice when you step inside is the new steering wheel. It now matches the XV and it's a lot chunkier than before and wrapped in a very nice soft leather. Feels great in the hand. There are also large and easy to use media controls on the left, including a volume toggle, you know how much I like those, and adaptive cruise on the right. There are also paddle shifters, but keep in mind this is a CVT, so you won't be actually changing gears, more like changing presets in the gearbox. Our premium model has the keyless go, so to start the engine, put your foot on the brake and hit the button. Starting on the driver's side, 4 power window switches of course, but unfortunately only the driver's is automatic. Power door locks with electric folding mirrors. And 2-person memory electric seats. Happily, Subaru have finally placed all the controls for the driver assistance systems in one place. From blind spot monitoring to lane departure warning and collision mitigation, they're all now easily accessed next to the driver's knee. These have also got to be some of the most densely padded and squishy armrests I've ever reviewed on any car, great for longer motorway journeys. And in the cabin, Subaru say they've used a greater amount of stitched surfaces, which is true because they're stitching literally everywhere, from here, here, and now on the main dashboard. The materials that they've gone for, from this soft touch dashboard to these chrome accents, really lift the feeling of the cabin. And all the switchgear from the steering wheel and all the buttons on the center stack feel very well screwed together. So from a materials point of view, very good. Except for this part. The second biggest change you notice is this new center stack, with Subaru's updated Starlink Infotainment System, now with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto standard on all models, which is a great addition. Keep in mind though that this large 8-inch unit is only available on the top 2 variants. The base 2.5i has a slightly smaller and recessed 6.5-inch screen. The system is quite fast in general, with menus not needing much time to load, and not a lot of lag. And the tablet-style interface makes it dead easy to navigate between those menus. But I did notice that whilst I was driving especially, I did have to hit a button more than once because the touchscreen wouldn't register. The climate controls also got an update with these very smart-looking screen and dial controls, one for the driver and front passenger. There are also 3-stage heated seats, and 1 push automatic. Below in the center cubby there are 2 USB ports, an auxiliary jack and a 12-volt power outlet. But note, once you do plug your phone in, you won't be able to close this, mainly because the cubby isn't very deep. So you will have to drive with it open. Dead easy to use single gate shifter from park all the way to drive, electronic handbrake, and a surround view camera. However, note that there's only 3 cameras instead of 4, so you get a front view, a side view, great for parking, or you can have them both up at the same time, but there is no 360 panoramic view unlike some other cars. Hill descent control, and there's also X mode for off-road. 2 cup holders with a removable center divider for storing larger and bulkier items. Underneath the driver's armrest there's a decent sized storage bin where you can see all my camera equipment, a 12-volt power outlet, and a handy little tray for storing business cards and coins. The seats on our premium model are leather trimmed, and they managed to strike the balance of being soft but also supportive. There's electric lumbar support and manual headrest adjustment. There's also a sunroof, and nice to see that they haven't forgotten a dedicated sunglasses holder. What's not so great are these sun visors, because they don't extend, so they're completely useless for protecting the sun on the side. So let's have a look at the rear seats.
Now, I like to think I'm the ultimate test for rear seat space, mainly because I'm so damn tall. And right now, this driver's seat is set for my driving position. I'm 6'3" or 190 centimeters. In fact, this seat is all the way back in its tracks. And as you can see, I still have just enough knee room, plenty of headroom, but one area which is lacking is footroom. And that's due to the fact that the Outback seats aren't mounted very high relative to the car, unlike, for instance, the Subaru Forester. It is nice to see that the materials go through to the back. This is an area where manufacturers usually skimp out on. So at the back, there's still soft touch plastics and the leather stitching carries through as well. Everything else is as you would expect, which is a good thing. So there are bottle holders in the doors, a center armrest with 2 cup holders, rear air vents, and 2 pairs of ISOFIX child mount tethers. And new for 2018, there are 2 USB charging outlets. You'll also notice is that how much glass there is inside the cabin. You don't feel claustrophobic, and they've managed to keep the belt lines quite low, so children should be able to see out on a long journey.
Integrated roof racks are a neat feature and can be deployed by lifting the catch, swinging each side around, and locking them in place.
And there you go, instant roof racks. Around the back, all variants bar the base model get an electric tailgate, which is not only painfully slow, made worse if you use the key fob, and go. But as you can see, it doesn't open very high, so do watch your head when loading cargo in and out. Once it is open, there is a generous space, 512 litres with the seats up. The space itself isn't the tallest, but it is very long, as you expect in a wagon. And Subaru also consistently do 2 things which I love. 1, which is a full-size spare tyre, and 2, a dedicated space to store the cargo cover when it's not in use. There are 4 cargo tie-down hooks, 2 handy shopping bag pop-out hooks, 1 on each side, and the seat bags can also be folded with these levers, and they go pretty much fully flat.
Behind the wheel, what surprised me was how stable the ride in the Outback was. It didn't matter whether you were going motorway speeds or just commuting around town. Part of the 2018 updates were revisions to the suspension to reduce body roll, and it definitely shows. Another improvement due to customer feedback was the harsh engagement from reverse to drive gear. I can also report that this has been sorted, with no jolting which could happen from time to time in the pre-facelift model. If you're watching this video, then I can almost guarantee you've seen other reviews of the Outback, and it's usually now where the reviewer talks about how the 2.5-litre engine is adequate. And it is exactly that, adequate. It's perfectly capable of getting you from A to B and keeping up with traffic. But put your foot all the way down, and that's when you notice quite a decent lack of low-end torque. You really need to rev it to get a move on.
And this thing is not fast. You will not be winning any drag races with this. If you want to go faster, go for the 3.6-litre 6-cylinder. But that stickers for around $49,000. And by the time you finish making the Australian government happy and paying all your taxes, that's around 55 grand. And even though it has all the kit you would expect and everything you'd really want as standard, it's still a lot of money.
On the motorway, the cabin remains hushed with only very small amounts of tyre noise, although wind noise with the large wing mirrors is noticeable at speed. Subaru's Eyesight safety system is still my favourite and remains one of the most reliable in the real world. Eyesight is also standard on every 2018 Outback. With 2 stereo cameras, it combines every driver assistant you could almost want, from radar-guided cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, lane departure warning with steering assist, high beam assist, and the list goes on. The Lineartronic CVT gearbox does its best to mimic real shifts, and unlike other CVTs, it never screams and shouts, which is great for you and your passengers' ears. Maneuvering the Outback in tight spaces ended up being quite a bit easier than I thought due to a surprisingly small turning circle of 11 meters, less than many other cars which are dimensionally smaller too. Overall, the Outback is a very capable car. It's practical, comfortable, and easy to live with. Also, with symmetrical all-wheel drive, it could easily handle almost any condition you throw at it. The 2.5-litre engine just needs more oomph, especially down low in the rev range. But if you're in the market initially for a standard-sized SUV, why not give the Outback a try?